No, I actually wanted to make laminates one year that were like, it was back when they were, you had to have a tag on your video camera, you know? Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to have ones that were like hippie drum circle patrol. And I would go up to hippie drummers. I had another way of doing it, but I wanted to use the laminate as like, oh, do you have a tag for your djembe? Oh, you don't? Oh, you need to go down to the art department and get a permit. No, you can't play out here unless you have your tag. But I never got around to making those kind of laminates. So what I would do is, first year I did it, I was driving Robert Burke's Buffalo car.
Are you name dropping right now?
Yeah, Robert Burke. Now, you want to know about old school Burning Man? Or Robert Burke. Burke. Do
you have a social?
No, he's,
His live journal?
I'm going to continue with the story before. No, you can't get him on social media. No, you can't. I learned everything I know about art cards from Robert Burke. So the first year I got there in 97, the morning after the burn. I was like, fuck, I should have been here. I was at a fucking rainbow gathering in Colorado.
Oof.
Ridiculous. So 98, I arrived on the playa, like standing on the front of the cyber bus with an 18-inch head Remo djembe, playing drum, and met Robert Burke. Well, I knew him before that, but he was camped with us, the cyber bus, and he had done this art card, the Buffalo, which was amazing. So I rode around with him that year, and he gave me all the lore about Burning Man. I heard about 96 and blah, blah, blah. Now when people are like, hey, Mateo, remember 96? I'm like, no, I wasn't there. And they're like, really? Could have sworn you were there. And then the next year, I helped him with the art card he did that year, which was the Lighthouse, which I guess there's one that's been done since. I saw a picture of something. But this was a lighthouse on top of like a four-door Honda Civic or something like that. And he gave me the keys to the Buffalo, and he was like, here, you can drive it around this year. Nice. And I was like, wow. It was seriously one of the greatest honors of my life. So I got to drive that around. People would be like, nice art card. I'd be like, it's not mine.
I feel like I definitely remember seeing the Buffalo. I also, I went in 97, and then a buddy of mine and I came down to the Bay Area, and we, saw the cyberbus parked on a side street, and we're like, dude, we found the cyberbus.
Can you describe the cyberbus? I've never seen it.
Wasn't, it's a bus. It's fine.
No, it was an experience.
I got
to the Bay Area
back then.
I got to the Bay Area. So after being on the playa in the morning after the burn in 97, came to the Bay Area, which was my friend and mine's destination. Got here, and we'd been here for about a week, and we were driving to the Berkeley Marina, and we stopped at a gas station because he was like, they're giving all these lessons for really cheap, and in the gas station is the cyberbus with a bunch of freaks hanging around, and I'm like, I'm going to go ask them what they're doing. I was like, what are you guys doing? And they were like, come with us. I said to my friends, see you later. You can go pay to learn how to sail. I'm going to go with these people, and they were doing one of their street freaks. Yeah, so it wasn't just a bus. It was it was a freak experience. I mean, literally would do events where they would just park it and then just freak all over the place. We used to
I'm sorry, excuse my...
What is freaking?
What is freaking?
Freaky. They dress... Well, they were they had a really hippie streak, but the bus was kind of conceived of and brought about by a couple of, tech guys who were into the Burning Man scene. You know, I'd been there in 96, and they were just people would put silver face paint all over their bodies and dress in silver, or just doctors.
Tech before what tech is now.
Tech in 97, 98.
Still kind of douchey, but
No, these guys were not douchey. These were
No, that's what I'm saying. It was tech when really took a lot of effort to be in tech.
There have always been douchebags in the tech community. There have always been douchebags in any community. Mm-hmm. And, any community, any culture I've ever gone into, I'm like, wow, some really cool people. Wow, some real douchebags. It's, the percentage may vary, but...
If there weren't douchebags in the tech industry, personal computers would never have gotten sold.
And would that be such a bad thing?
It's really hard to do.
All right, so...
Podcast on.
I think it'd be...
So,
can we talk about me for a second?
Did we?
I'm giving you context. No, I know.
Do we want to introduce?
Yeah. Let's go around the table. Let's go around the table and introduce ourselves. Let me start with you. You were tapping into a computer, so you.
Oh, I'm Rex.
And
I am Beth,
and I'm D-Day,
and this is Xeno on the other side of me. My name is Mateo, and I'm here to talk about La Contessa and the Extraction Marching Band.
And your thoughts about Burning
because
Man
I'm an aging rocker, and I'm a washed-up burner artist. So I want to relive my past glories.
Welcome to Accuracy Third. I'm D-Day.
I'm Xeno.
Hey, it's Xeno.
Oh, fuck. Xeno, are you actually here with us? That's wild.
But that makes me Rex.
And I'm Beth.
And that's Beth.
And today on Accuracy Third, we're talking about Xeno.
No, we're talking about Mateo.
And Mateo's talking about the Extra Action Marching Band.
So I met this guy.
This guy.
I was at Merchants the other day. Isaac was my bartender. Isaac is also an old school Burning Man dude.
Big, tall Isaac.
No, short, kind of slubby guy.
Wee itty bitty Isaac.
Yeah, he has a goatee. He used to be the DJ there. He would play Goodbye Horses like a bunch.
I'd fuck me.
Yes. And so he was a bartender back, 20 years or 15 years ago when I first got here, and he's still there, and I love him to death. He's awesome. I had gone there right after getting some good news about job stuff, blah, 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 and just sat down next to this dude, and we were just like shooting shit. And he like mentioned his band. I'm like, oh, you're in a band? Because he's like, who fucking cares?
A urine band?
Yeah. And so
Planet
like,
Piss?
Yeah, and he was like, Extra Action Marching Band. And I'm like, bullshit. No, the fuck you're not. And he's like, yeah, the fuck I am. I'm like, oh, really? Like, Contessa, like 2003. He's like, yeah, we did that. I was like, oh, because I saw you guys in Austin in 2002. And he's like, oh, like with Extreme Elvis. So we both like checked each other to make sure we got our fucking facts right.
All right.
And we both passed.
Sometimes counterculture meets counterculture, and you spend the first 5 minutes of that name checking each other.
Yes.
Hold on, let me digress. Tell me about Extreme Elvis.
Jesus fucking Christ. He's basically, it was one of the more scary shows that I've been to. So Extreme Elvis is this like chubby dude, and I sent you guys some YouTube videos. One of them has him performing, but it's not in the way that I'm about to describe.
Okay. Link in description.
Yes. And so we were in a down like on 6th Street, Austin, Texas venue. I was there to see Extra Action because just underground street cred, blah, 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 blah. And this dude comes out in just a white sequin jumpsuit, and he's like a little heavy. And he just starts doing Elvis covers. I was like, okay. But then, like, he just is pounding water. He's like, all right, the king's getting a little thirsty. And he's just pounding water during the first, like, 3 songs or so. And then it starts getting weird. And then he starts, like, covering Elvis songs, but, like, different. And then he starts unzipping his jumpsuit and, like, taking it off. And he's, like, got one arm out. And he's got, like, crazy tattoos on his arm. One is of like a cartoon, like almost like Raggedy Ann doll, but with her head in a vice.
All right. Very nice.
And then he starts getting into the crowd and starts rubbing his like sweaty fat belly on people and making other people sing Elvis. And people start backing away. And he's like, whoa. This is like watching a G.G. Allen concert from the parking lot. You all got to get up in here. And it gets to the point where his jumpsuit is around his ankles. And he's like screaming, Mama, I'm coming home. And people are freaking out. And people are like, is he okay? And while he's doing that, he's holding the mic up super high, and he's just pissing on people. And a lot of people don't get it because they're watching this deranged man scream and hold the mic up above his head, and he's just pissing on everyone.
That's how easy it is to distract people.
Yes, that's how magic works. So he toured with Extra Action in, I want to say, like 2003 or so. And I think he went out to Burning Man with them, too.
Wow, that's great. I am so here for Extreme Elvis.
Yeah, and then he ended the show just on the ground, just screaming and just, like, wallowing in his own piss. And then Extra Action did, like, a full marching band rendition of Black Sabbath. I forget what album. I'm not a Black Sabbath guy.
Probably Paranoid. It's the only one they ever made.
Yeah, well, then that one. And then afterwards, they they're a marching band. So, towards the end of it, they just got up, got all their equipment, and started marching outside and took the whole crowd out onto 6th Street in Austin.
Oh, that's great.
It's kind of the coolest thing about a marching band that other bands can't replicate is your ability to travel.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, we're not going to be interviewing this Elvis fellow.
But
fortunately, yeah, if you can get...
I feel like he's probably dead by now. I don't know. He looked like he was doing
Elvis in this studio. I will hire someone to clean this studio once he gets here.
Anywho, you met Extra Action Marching Band guy.
Yeah, so his name is Mateo. And
As one is.
when he mentioned that, I remembered DA back in 2003 mentioning Mateo, and I've heard the name all over the place. I was like, oh, wait, that's the guy. And I just randomly met him, and I was like, hey, I have some friends who have a podcast about Burning Man, and I'm sure they'd love to talk about La Contessa and, Extra Action and how y'all did your thing. I can tell you what my experience was in that. And then I'm really looking forward to hear what his take on all that was, because, rose-colored glasses and history and, our own perspectives shading things. I'd really like to see what someone else thought about that.
All right. Well, curtain pulled back. This is the rare moment where we're doing some intro material before we actually interview the person that we're introducing. Tell us what La Contessa is and your experience therewith.
Well, let's go chronologically. So I was on the ranch living in 2003, and this was the 80. It's just the ranch. It's mainly just DPW. And DA's friends, a Dark Angel, he's the head of Playa Resto now. He was,
His playa name is Dark Angel.
That's what DA stands for.
I had no
idea that was it. I thought DA was much cooler than Dark Angel.
DA, I don't know if you listen to this podcast or not, but if you do, good choice. DA, much less embarrassing than Dark Angel. And this is coming from someone who made up their own fucking playa name.
The bar was lower back then.
Yeah, I bet.
So, we have, the rows, there's wood rows and metal rows and engine rows, and it's just kind of piles of stuff. And he convinced the powers that be, as far as I know, I could be wrong about this, to let a theme camp come and work on their own shit on the 80. And a lot of DPW are like, who the fuck are these people? Think they're better than us? I ain't even there. You don't even fucking talk to us. Just working on their project.
Reaction every time.
Yeah.
It's like, no, we think we're a lot less than you. We just happen to be here.
Right. And when you see La Contessa, you have to know that, no, they couldn't just make that entirely in the bay and then drive it out there, because the person that's driving can't see. They have to have someone that's on the deck with a radio saying, faster, slower. All right, to the left, more to the left, more to the left. Wait, no, less left, less left. Okay, go
That's
forward.
exactly how you should navigate those switchbacks.
All right. I feel like we're triangulating in. We know now that La Contessa is some sort of vehicle and that it contains a deck.
So it is a boat that was built over the top of a bus, which nowadays doesn't sound all that impressive, but it was the first of its kind. And it was, there were people that had mobile couches and platforms, and there were some buses with some blinky lights and stuff back then. They actually had shipbuilders that rigged the whole
I think
thing.
you're actually kind of underselling it by saying it's a boat.
It's a pirate ship.
It is definitely a ship.
Oh,
Multi-masks. Yeah,
struggles
masks, yes.
will fucking kill me for getting that wrong. Yes, it is a ship.
Yes.
Two-masted, rigging all the way down with I forget what it's called, the lady in front, the sexy buxom
that's a
lady. Masthead.
On a bowsprit.
Yes. So they did all that. When they had to get it from the ranch to Playa, I mean, it's not illegal anymore. So what we did, and the Rangers were way more integrated with us back then. We had a Ranger go about 10 miles up north on 34, and then another Ranger go the other way about 10 miles. And they all had radios, and they're like, okay, no one is coming. And so lights off, so no one saw this in the middle of the fucking night. You fucking drove it off the ranch onto the highway, onto the playa. And you're like, there are no cars coming for 10 miles. We can do this. We don't have to do it
right
fast.
now.
But let's get it done.
You definitely don't have to do it fast if you're running no lights in
Exactly.
the fucking desert.
Yeah, with the guy steering it not being able to see anything.
That is an old-timey fucking Burning Man
Jesus.
story right there.
Yes. And so they did this way before the event and parked it in Deep Playa. That was the hiding place because no one goes to Deep Playa. And so they just had the
Before
GPS
the
coordinates.
event, that's just called playa.
Right. And so they needed someone to kind of take the keys just in case someone found it. And that was my theme camp. Chupacabra Policia.
Chupacabra was given the fucking keys to La Contessa. Jesus Christ.
Yes. That was ours. on Playa before they got there and like took control of it back.
Well.
So we got to drive that around. It was mostly Dr. Fikowski. Like he was the one that was mostly in charge of it. He was running the food program for DPW. He's a responsible guy. He's also called Dr. Fikowski's. Like he's a weird motherfucker.
He's a doctor.
At that point, Chupacabra Policia pretty much had someone in every single department that was feeding us information and wanting us to fuck with their department. Like we arrested Larry Harvey. There's a lot of different things that we did.
Listen, if there's one thing that we need to have, as a community, taken away from the events of the 50s, 60s, and 70s, is that the Policia are in your organization.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, we got undercovers in everything. So yeah, that was literally like parked outside of our theme camp once the theme camp got built, once the event was built. But something Extra Action did was to fund all this, because it was a large expenditure of talent, time, money, equipment. Is they sold tickets to Bay Area weirdos for I want to say $160. I could be wrong. To come out to the playa like way pre-event and do a Bedouin feast.
Oh.
And so they had a fundraiser on playa. And they had like someone recite, what is it? The albatross, the mariner, the rhyme of the ancient mariner or something.
The rhyme of the ancient mariner. You got there. Good job.
Well, you know, sometimes I'm right. It scares even me. They also had a giant whale art car too. And so it was basically a bunch of, at that point, what DPW termed fancy Bay Area fucks with too much money.
A caravanserai, if you will.
Going to our spot and not inviting us after they had just built this thing on our ranch.
Uh-huh.
And so a bunch of us went and crashed their party.
Good.
And they didn't kick us out. They knew kind of the deal.
They think they were better than you.
But yeah, so we followed them with our DPW vehicles and whatnot, and did the whole party, ate for free. And earlier in the week, someone had hit a deer on 34. I think I'd related this story to y'all, and it was Dr. Holderdown that did that. So like the deer head was actually, the antler got stuck in his grill, and so the head came off. It was just stuck in his grill. He came back and was like, fuck, I killed a deer. And Dr. Fikowski, who's running food, is like, well, where'd you put it? Why isn't it in the back of your truck?
Yep.
And so Dr. Fikowski gets in his truck and just goes down the highway, gets the deer, and fucking cooks it. Rednecks.
Yeah.
And so
if you do it quick enough, all them guts don't spoil that meat.
Well, and that's why we had a giant garbage bag full of deer guts.
Yep.
And so,
As you do.
we took it out to Playa for this Bedouin feast for these fancy San Francisco fuckers.
Oh, my.
And after the whale actually needed a jump start, and I actually jump started their art car, they're like, okay, yeah, got it. Cool. Thank you, guys. We never invited you. Whatever. One of the gutter punk train hoppers from Metal Shop took the bag of deer guts and just threw it on the deck of La Contessa to sit in the sun for a couple weeks.
Oh, God.
I'm not condoning it, but we were assholes. We were performing assholes.
At minimum, you really gave a nice patina of authenticity to that pirate ship, because
Yes.
a bag of sun-bleached guts is the smell of a pirate ship, I'm going to say.
Yeah. Yeah, and so we had someone actually sleep in the crow's nest every night to make sure no one else fucked with it. We actually took our responsibility pretty seriously.
By which you mean you all relished the idea of cosplaying as pirates and sleeping in the crow's nest.
Yes, we had it.
Yes.
It was ours.
Sounds pretty serious to me.
I think it was one of the most impressive art cars that had ever happened at that point, and I think it really showed other people what could be done if you really put some effort into it. So I really appreciate it. It changed a lot of people's ideas about what was possible, and was one of the most beautiful. Everyone that has seen La Contessa thinks it's one of the best things in the entirety of the history of Burning Man.
I will say it is, to this day, the most impressive ship art car, and there have been several, and there have been some great ones. But the verisimilitude, the the follow through, the commitment to what they were doing is unrivaled. The only thing that's even approached it is the half sunk ship that was an installation.
And that didn't move.
And here's Mateo.
Hey, let's hear from Mateo. I'm looking forward to hear what you say.
Thank you, asshole. Thank you, asshole. Thank you, asshole.
Okay, I'm telling a long-winded story, but it's all context for how La Contessa got built and how it came about. Robert Burke taught me everything I know about art cars. So the next year, he gave me the keys to the Buffalo, and I got to drive it around. He was driving around the lighthouse. And then the year after that, I was like, okay, he showed me how this is done. It's time I just did an art car. And I won't give. I see it also when I was young. My daddy was going, no. I sat down and for a couple of weeks, just kind of like, what's my concept? What is it I want to build for an art car? And after a couple of weeks, it occurred to me, I was like, I want to do the least amount of work possible to get a playa pass. Mm-hmm. Then it was
that
easy.
Turned into La Contessa.
No,
the least amount of work.
We're getting there. Deep breaths. No. You know?
I really appreciate that you came here specifically to manage Xeno.
And that's not what
They
I
are
told.
very familiar with having to do exactly that.
All right, so I have some other questions for my guests before I continue this story. Because
I see.
So, Xeno, the question for you is, how much have you had to drink?
I've had 3 of these guys.
Okay, and what is everybody's first year? Yours was 97?
2006?
2007.
99.
Okay, just gauge how much I can be crusty and
Well, but also
and
like,
lord it over you.
you're not necessarily talking to them. You're also talking to the audience.
Well, yeah, but
A lot
these
of
are the
whom have
people
never come.
Hey, everybody, call in with your first year.
Hey, the audience, hit us up on Discord and let us know if you went to Burning Man for the first time.
How much of an audience have you guys got? If you don't mind my asking.
It's really hard to say.
Couple thousand.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, podcasting data is bizarre.
And by definition, and how the internet should work, you shouldn't know. But that's a good thing. It's an RSS feed, which is beautiful.
It's true. If you're doing it for the number of listeners or likes or whatever, then you're just part of the problem.
No, that's not what they're
I
doing.
was taught to create art.
That's not what they're doing.
So moving on. Okay. So the next year, so I was like, what do I do? I was like, oh, that's easy now. So I was like, I'm going to put a big arrow on top of a car. So Robert introduced me to Bill the Junkman down at Ace Junkyard, which was notorious. It's where the power tool drag races were held back in the day. And those were awesome. And so we went there, and Robert was like, "Hey, Mateo's want to do an archive. Can you give him?" He sold me, I think it was a Ford hatchback thing, and it had no title, no registration for $100.
Nice.
And so I chopped off pretty much everything. I left the hood on because it's good. It's a lot of seating area, but the roof. Oh no. I left a small strip of the roof between the front seat and, the back seat. You had to lean the seats forward, to get in the back. But a narrow strip that went up and over, like there was, let's see, I put a 2.5-inch hole through it so I could put a 2.5-inch, 10-foot long pipe through that hole and then attach it to the base, in between this driver and passenger seats. So it's 10 feet high. And then I built, I think it was like 20 feet long arrow out of plywood and found something at the DPW in the Rose that was just perfect. I was like, oh my God, this will fit right over this big pole I have, and I can stuff the arrow into it. Anyways, drove that around that year. It was so much fun. The Directioner. People called it the Aero car. Okay, the next year I go back up to the DPW because where I'd left it for the winter, and it's not working. And the only gear I can get it into is reverse. I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do? The gate's open. I don't have time to go back to the Bear and get another
the
car.
fucking arrow around.
No, the arrow spun. It just spun. It didn't have a direction. It would just go in whatever way the wind was blowing. But it wasn't a windmill, so it would get. And so I got somebody at the welding shop to weld rebar to the brake and the gas pedal. And so they would come up. I would sit on the dashboard with the steering wheel between my legs, looking backwards, with 2 pieces of rebar coming up on either side of my legs. One was the gas, one was the brake. I would turn it on, reach down, put it in reverse, and start to go backwards. It was awesome.
That is the greatest, jankiest art.
It was
car
like
I ever
Mad
heard
Max
of.
meets Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Oh, God, that's gonna.
Shitty.
All of a sudden, you got rear wheel steering.
Oh man, it is tricky. It is. Oh no, man, you do donuts on the ply at 5 miles an hour with that kind of steering.
I guess your steering wheel's kind of backwards.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's like wow, damn, a little bit. Anyways, I used to drive that thing through raves, just real slow, like 2 miles an hour, honk my horn in time to the music. People would be like, "Well," I'd be like, "Can you get out of the way? I'm driving my art car through your rave." So then, after that year, I was talking to Simon Sheffens, who is Simon. I know him as Simon Sheffens. He's the creative force behind Extraction Marching Band and La Contessa.
Different Simon.
And so we were living in we'd lived in a couple of warehouses together at that point. And he said to me,
in what area were your warehouse?
the warehouse where this next part of the story happens was on 98th Avenue. It was called the Monkey Ranch because he had a psychotic dog that was called Monkey.
Sunny Oakland, California.
Yeah, 98th.
Yeah.
Oh, tough neighborhood. So it was like, I don't know, a couple of weeks, a month after Burning Man, and you're blah, blah, blah. And then he says, hey, you know what I want to do next year for Burning Man? And I said, what? And he went to his room and he came back with a hardcover book and he showed me a picture of a 16th century Spanish galleon that's in a museum in Spain on the Straits of Gibraltar. And he'd been there and seen it. And he shows me this picture and he's like, I want to build a 16th century Spanish galleon that we can drive around just because I want to do the back of a 16th century Spanish galleon, which are very ornate.
Yeah.
That was like the apex of like, let's,
Can't
Woodwork.
be done.
Hey, all right. And I said to him, if you're serious, I know how to get the money. There, now we've come full circle. Now I've set you all up for the story.
How did
Wait,
we
how
get
did
the
it
money?
start? Were you very young?
Yes,
Were you-
and my dad was golden distant. Too much information running around my head, right?
Just enough
Yeah.
information.
So I will now take one question, quick question, and it can't be two parts from each of you. Yes.
I have an idea for big art at Burning Man.
That's not a question.
No, that's the setup.
Thank you.
The question is not over.
Your
That's the
question.
setup.
Now you that was not a question either. So it's up to you two. You guys blew your chance.
No, okay.
Hey,
this is
I'm
not-
running this show.
No, you're
Okay.
not. No, you're not.
He is tonight.
Oh my God.
How old were you the year that this was happening?
Oh God. You're asking me to do math now. Let's see. Okay, you can do the math. First year of Burning Man, I think I tried to figure out what that was tonight, and I usually counted in art cars. I'm like, I was riding on the Buffalo. I was driving the Buffalo. The directioner backwards, and then La Contessa. So that'd be 98, 99, 2000, 2001, 2002 is the first year, I believe.
And
of
how old were you then?
I'm 60 now. You do the math.
You're 60. I'm just saying, your crust has aged you well.
And it's not playa crust either. I got lots of other crust. I told you, I arrived on the Wallapai. No, well, that was the
Wallapai,
year before.
yep.
No, I arrived on Black Rock, standing on the hood of the cyberbus, playing a djembe, like, wow, let's go, man. I was like, yeah. And other people were like, wow, I never imagined that there could be a world outside of my cubicle in my
What year were you born?
1963.
63.
No, you're not going to get my mother's maiden name. Jesus Christ.
So we're
Just the
He's
last 4
23
digits
years
of
old,
the
Beth, move
SSN
on.
is all we need.
23?
Yes, he's
was-
23.
Was 23.
Wow, you guys went to college for math, huh?
Nope.
No, they went to
Obviously.
college for podcasting.
All right, do you have a question?
Yeah. Can you please finish telling us what exactly the cyberbus was?
Stop living in the past. The cyberbus was a collection of freaks, people who like to do stuff that was strange and deviant in a good way. Fairly serious hippie tinge, but on the other hand, it was the cyberbus, and they did stuff that they would like broadcast. Like, oh, we're freaking the streets, and this is back before you could do it easily. It's not like you could upload a picture. I mean, other people took care of that. I was just having a good time.
Would it be accurate to say that it's like street theater performance art?
Street theater. There was no script most
It
of the
was
time.
making the squares uncomfortable.
Well, then more than that, it was trying to get people to step outside their comfort zone and have fun.
And
doing
inviting
big,
people
silly-
into doing
Yes.
something weird
They,
that they didn't know that they wanted, but then
Yes.
the moment they saw it, they're like, I kind of want to know what's going on over
Right.
there.
Flash mob stuff before that.
Yeah, actually, in
Sorta.
a ways, and only it wasn't choreographed. And one of the Burning Man films that was out like when I got to this area, Larry says of the cyberbus, they're interviewing him, and he's like, the cyberbus is taking the Burning Man aesthetic back to the Bay Area. because they were like, there is like no spectators. Hey, we're just having fun. You want to join us? Hey, let's have it. Really seriously blurring the line between audience and entertainment in a great way. I mean, they're one of there are other things. The What Cheer Brigade, and they've renamed themselves for to be politically correct. God bless them. It's a great name. I would have a hard time letting go of that. They are a band. Actually, here's a little tidbit of Extra Action lore.
Wait, can we explain what Extra Action is before we go into lore?
Yes, because it is kind of.
Or we can, through the magic of editing,
yes.
we could probably just
okay
move things around.
Yeah, well, that's up to you. I'm editing.
Oh, it's not up to me. It's up to her.
Oh, okay. You edit what you want. You can make me sound like an idiot. Extra Action in what's the word I'm looking for? Out of respect for Simon, all I will say about the origins of Extra Action is that he was a drummer in a band, and he decided that there needed to be kind of a small like drum corps that would march through the crowd before the band he was in played. Mm-hmm. And that was the start of Extra Action. And him and Mutt are the only two original members from that time. I joined shortly after that here in Oakland. I moved into a warehouse where, Mutt had a baby there. His wife, he didn't have a baby. His wife had a baby. His wife at the time had a baby. And I went to take a shower early in the morning to go to work. And I came out of the shower. It's like 7 o'clock in the morning. Come out of the shower, and it was so punk rock there. Oh my God, it was bad. And in the kitchen, two women are sitting with a big medical, one of those blue on one side and white absorbent on the other side. And the placenta, sitting on the ground with their legs out in V shapes across from each other with the placenta between them, like spread out on the ground. I was like, oh, I guess the baby's here. But I met them there, and it was instantly like, I want to join this band. Mm-hmm. From the first time I saw them play, I was like, and so I started, like, hey, what do I have to do? I'll suck cock and whatever. I'll fluff you all.
Learn an instrument.
Can you, is it all drums or is it drums and brass?
It was all drums. When either just before I joined or shortly thereafter, we started adding horns, brass, no reed instruments.
Fuck saxes.
Oh no, saxes are one of my favorite things to modify. Mic with my modified bullhorn. Saxes sound awesome through a bullhorn that's modified in it, and a qualified operator.
The qualified operator is a very, very important factor.
Qualifier in it.
It is, because it separates the wheat from the chaff, and the fucking amateurs and the slide whistle.
You get amateurs seeing other amateurs and thinking it's okay, and that they don't have to fucking lift their level at all. Like they see like, oh, this other motherfucker's doing something dumb. I can just do dumb shit. That's fine.
Yeah,
but like,
and that's called
it
TikTok,
lowers
right?
the quality. No? It's pretty much TikTok, yes.
I tried to play the clarinet when I was little. I can't imagine anybody like picking up a saxophone and like putting their hands on 7,000 keys and being like, "I got this. I'll be fine."
We're talking about the megaphone.
No, I understand. You guys get tangential. I do the same thing, but tonight I'm in charge. So, motherfuckers, when I slap the table, everybody shut the fuck up, and we'll get back on topic.
That makes me bristle.
You only got me for one night, so if you want to get my best stories, you might want to let me move the conversation along. Okay.
I'm all in.
All right. Next, let's see. So a little more about Extra Action. Extra Action was the most incredible social group that I've ever been a part of. Like, forget about Burning Man and the huge projects. Now, I will say, coming from New York City, where I'd been for 8 years, and I was when I left, I was a dancing waiter. And people would say to me like, "Oh wow, what do you do?" And I'd say, "I'm a waiter." And they're like, "What?" And I had a whole spiel because I wasn't there to be an actor or make my name, but I was very familiar with the whole. Everybody I knew was like, "Yeah, you should come see my show." And I got some new headshots. And what is your agent like? And I'm like, I don't have a fucking agent. And I got out here, and suddenly it was like, "Hey, I'm doing this massive, crazy project. You want to help?" And I was like, that's a nice change of pace. Uh-huh. I like that. That I can get behind.
Real hard to have a band in the Bay Area. Super easy to have a giant crazy art project here, though.
Oh, that is so not true. You obviously don't know Extra Action.
No.
Well, it's easy to claim and have a bunch of friends that say that you're doing an art project, but maybe don't actually do anything. But you claim that, like, Oh yeah,
That's
we
not.
have a
I've never
collection.
found that to be a big problem, but probably
It's not a
because I know.
problem. It's just kind of what people do.
Oh no, but it's not a problem in that I've gotten caught up in projects where I'm like, oh, you talked a good game, but you're not actually going to fucking do anything because I fell in with a crowd of people who like to get shit done, like do it. There were, it was deadlines, and it was like, let's fucking kick this out.
It was not the Insufficient Action Marching Band.
Ooh, that's a good name.
Yeah.
Anyways, Extra Action was crazy. It was not a democracy. It wasn't anarchy. It wasn't an authoritarian regime or anything. It was just like this complete bacchanalia reverie where we also were erasing the line between audience and so we were like, if we played on stage, we would go into the audience at some point. And in the early years, we were very aggressive. We would plow through people, and the flag team was doing nutty stuff. Like they had this boxing match that they did during one song, and these two women, and there's such sordid history behind it, but I'm not going to go into it. But they would have a boxing match where they would go at each other. As a matter of fact, one night in Vegas, after we had played a show, we're sitting at the bar, and they were like, Mateo. And I turn around, and there's two of the, was it Kellic and Ada? I think. Anyways, they were like, who won tonight? And I was like, what are you talking about? Who won the boxing match? They were literally wondering my opinion about who had landed the most punches. And after they would do this every time we performed during that section of the song. Then the rest of the flag team and them would go out into the audience and kind of pretend to. And then we stopped when a very influential member was like, "I'm really not comfortable with this." And one of the flag team was just like fooling around, and the woman's date hit her in the eye so hard that it closed up her eye.
Oh,
yeah, that was the Dada Fest in SF MoMA. That's right.
in SF MoMA.
Yeah, they did Dada Fest in the it was the MoMA. No, the one Yerba Buena, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, the
Winter Gardens.
Yeah.
Yeah, that monstrosity.
The next
museum.
to MoMA.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I get my museums mixed up. What do you want? All right, so Extra Action. I'm the third or fourth longest running member of the band at this point. Simon and Mudd are the only two original players. Violet came in at around the same time I did, a little before, and the first tours were just fucking nuts. There were groups of people you had to keep separated because there would be violence if they had too much contact.
Like in the band?
Yes.
Band had internal cliques.
Oh, no. We're talking, let me see. The only count I can do for sure is when we, let me see, the second time I went to Europe with Extra Action, and we had this thing where, the door would close and the bus would start to pull out, and then it was like 1, 2, 3, and everybody had a number, and you had to yell it out to make sure everybody
You
was
don't want
there.
to leave anyone behind,
Right. And I think we were at 24, 25, and that was including our opening act, which who kind of performed with us at least several times. So, and type A personalities, serious motherfucking deviants, some of whom had mad skills in other fields. And we were notorious for we were like the Who. We would trash it. First tour, we trashed the dressing room in our New Orleans gig, and we did a tour with Extreme Elvis where we did the entire first Black Sabbath album cover to cover, and he was singing it.
This one.
And we were in Vegas at this club. It was so strange. Bouncers in silk jackets who are in this. We were in a dressing room that was about twice the size of this room, and there's like 20, 25 people in there. And we're all like, "Come on, man! I want to do a little bump with these guys in silk jackets." Their wrists turned in by bodybuilders, and they're just staring us down, standing right there. So we get on stage, and of course, Extreme Elvis gets naked almost immediately. He had a habit of doing that, and then he peed on something, and that shut down that show.
As far as I know, he pees on everything he possibly can.
No, that's not true. No, that's not true.
I mean, I've only seen him
I know the
once.
guy personally. I know I've seen him many times. We did a tour with him, and it was fucking awesome.
I guess he just saw a particularly wet show.
I loved seeing it. I loved seeing the moment the crowd realized what was going on, and just the circle of people just pushing backwards, trying to get away from him as he was peeing on a girl, but holding the mic up to her so that she would sing.
That was his backup
and
singer,
not, right? He did it to numerous people. This was in Austin, Texas.
Oh, okay. With Extra Action?
Yeah, no, I saw you guys. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember that. Oh my god, my brain.
No, he
Hold on, was I drunk? Oh yeah, I was probably doing something else as well.
So he would do.
What, people were scared of feces and pee? No,
they didn't know he was going to do that, but they pushed back to the end of the stage, and he was like, This is like watching a Gigi Allen concert from the parking lot. Y'all need to get up here. Then once people got up there,
Did you ever
he
see
pissed
Gigi
on
Allen?
them. No.
Okay.
I would
Gigi Allen
not
was a
see-
douchebag.
No, I would not.
I mean,
see
I don't care if
Gigi
Chicken
Allen.
John was his bass player.
Chicken
Whatever.
John's a piece of shit.
Oh,
now we're name
Shots fired.
Yeah, like I never got to meet Gigi Allen. Seems like if you were going to a Murder Junkie show, you probably knew what you were getting into.
I tried twice and he didn't show. But I saw him at other gigs and I was like, just like body language, like, wow, you're just a douchebag.
Yep.
With like he dressed like a cross between Stevie Nicks and the guy from Aerosmith.
Aren't those the same thing?
What? Stevie Nicks?
Stevie Nicks and Steve Nicks from Aerosmith.
Or that wasn't Steve.
Steve.
Steve Perry? No, I forget. Whatever.
Yes.
Anyway, we're getting off topic.
He's not the guy.
I had a friend who saw Gigi Allen. He went to the show. Gigi Allen didn't show. Everybody was about to leave. Gigi Allen comes in the door, grabs the cash box, leaves.
Nice.
That's called conceptual performance art. He's making a statement about the system.
What's capitalism?
Joe
You
went
know what?
and saw
You need
one
to
of his
think about it.
shows where he put like a wine bottle through his head and like with glass
Through his head.
Through his head, meaning the wine bottle broke, but then there was glass in his head, and then he just bled all over everything until the cops were called.
I want to fast forward
Yes.
Gigi Allen.
to
Fair enough.
yeah. But you reminded
So how are
me of
you
something.
like Gigi Allen?
How am I not?
You take some deep breaths. Okay, so it's the
think
morning. Can you unplug him?
I've learned what take deep breaths means, and I'm wise to your game.
Okay. How about I just say, shut the fuck up?
I'm gonna go tinkle.
There you go. All right. So it's the morning after the burn. I'm on La Contessa, and it's full of people, and we crash the tribe.
Editing.
No, it's I like my goal with storytelling is to be like Neil Gaiman in Sandman.
You're making a big web.
I don't. Sometimes he just goes off on tangents, and I think he's just like, oh, I got a cool story, and I'll hook it in here like this. And it's was there an overall message?
I got my ass to put Shakespeare in this fucking.
Yes, and I love that.
I've been told I make big webs.
Have you watched any of Boots Riley stuff? Oh no, Blindspotting. They work in Shakespearean stuff, but it's contemporary. It's fucking amazing.
Yeah, it was a good movie and a great show.
Yes, I haven't seen the show because I don't have HBO. I'm kind of poor. Anyway, so the morning, because you made me think of this. Heather, right?
Beth.
Ah, fuck. I'm sitting on the bowsprit of La Contessa, and we are cruising. We're outside the fence, so we're doing way more than 5 miles an hour. Though I think there's another story where we found out about what the top speed of La Contessa was, but that's another story. So I'm sitting on the bowsprit with a good friend of mine, and she says something, and I'm like, oh yeah, and I just kind of as a joke took the hat she was wearing and tossed it overboard. Now we were on the edge of the playa, about at this point 10-15 miles outside the city, and so it goes over the side, and we're doing probably 20-25 miles an hour or something like that, and so it's gone. We're on the bowsprit, and so it's gone. And she was holding a fifth of, it was either Jim Beam or Jack Daniels, I can't remember which, and she just instinctively swung it and hit me on the forehead, like to one side, and it broke and cut my skin, and I was like, wow, and immediately everybody on deck, actually Mutt had some footage of it. It was hilarious, and I'm like, just like, whoa, shit, and she's immediately like, oh my God, I'm sorry, are you okay? And everybody's like, are you okay? And I'm like, everybody shut the fuck up, I need to do a systems check. And then I did. It's something I learned as a bike messenger. First thing you do is you're not like, oh, hold on, yeah, thanks for asking. You're like, shut the fuck up, let me do an internal systems check and see, and then I was just like, rage wells up in me. And I ran across the deck, down the stairs, and out the back of the Contessa as it was at speed.
25 miles an hour?
Well, it was probably, no, I mean, that's another story. I think it was like 20. It was going fast. Like, if we'd been that fast in the city, we would have gotten stopped by the Bureau of Land Management or something. I mean, the whales used to do that kind of speeds. They were doing like 30 or 40 one night when they were chasing us. It was our first night out. Another story. So I've been hit in the head, and I come out the back, and I land on my feet. I know how to get off a moving vehicle, but the door of that thing was on the stern, so you just step down and you were on the plane. I was like, and my girlfriend at the time, she came out, and I immediately just was like, okay, I just needed to get off there so I could just vent. And we walked back to the city, and we ended up hitting the city on the 2:00 radial arm, and we walked down the Esplanade to at least center camp. And all I'm wearing is army shorts, fatigues, like with pockets on the side, like army surplus, green khaki with pockets. They are not cargo pants, okay?
No, they're
I was on
shorts.
They're BDUs.
Fuck you. I'll talk to you later.
I love cargo shorts.
No. I'm into fatigues, combat fatigues. Like those.
Like my cutoffs.
Anyways, so
We're very cool.
I'm covered, head wounds. They bleed a lot, and she had just the bottle broke, and I'm covered in fucking whiskey, which you can't see. But I'm also like blood has been come down my face and over, and it stopped bleeding, so it's drying. But me and my girlfriend are walking down the Esplanade from 2:00 to the center, and every person who comes at us. And this is still like 8:00 in the morning. Okay, the morning after the burn. Everybody, like, I see them coming up the Esplanade to me, and then they get close enough. I'm like, oh wow, wasn't that so beautiful last night? The burn, it was so spiritual. Here, give me a hug. And everybody would be like, whoa, Jesus, no, It was hysterical. Oh my God, I did it to everybody. I think only one person was like, okay, yeah. I was like, all right, you either don't get it or you don't have any sense of personal hygiene. But
I'd rather hug your blood than like your feces. Like if you're covered in blood, that's all right.
If
that's
it's a
little
G.G.
kinky.
Allen scenario.
Yeah.
how much do you know about the transmission of hepatitis?
Not much.
Hey, this
Well,
was
actually, you can get hepatitis
this
from
was
either.
the early 90s. No one knew anything.
Yeah.
Oh
we
no!
didn't even
I
have
worked in human
hepatitis. Early
services
2000s.
with people who were severely mentally handicapped.
That's
and
why they were at
all
Burning Man.
dual diagnosis. There's that to be. That's a fair argument to make. Anyways, that was you inspired. You were like, hit on the head, and he was bleeding. I was like, I've done that. Been there, done that.
Getting bottled on a bowsprit is
Yes, much cooler than hitting yourself on stage because your stated goal is to have to die on stage, right? Yeah, whatever.
Bottled
dude.
bowsprit
Well,
is my next band.
oh, yeah, that's not bad. So now I've given some context for what Extra Action is. I feel like I've kind of given you an idea. And La
and there
Contessa.
will be some YouTube
And you know what,
videos.
Xeno, I can tell that you just have like words pent up in you. So you get one question, and then you have to shut the fuck up again.
I'm not going to shut the fuck up.
Well, that was your question.
I'm
so
talking
moving
to
on.
the people that might be listening as far as, okay, look, there's videos of this. Go check it out.
Fuck
links
the
in the
video.
show notes.
Fuck
I didn't
the videos.
watch the videos, but I
Fuck
did already
the videos.
put links in the
Fuck
show notes.
the videos. Fuck the videos. Let your
So
imagination.
it's about
Can
you
I finish my
talking.
fucking
It's
sen-
not about
No.
someone understanding what you're saying.
What? You don't understand what I'm saying?
No, I understand what you're saying. I'm talking about the fucking people that
What, don't
know
they
who the
understand?
fuck you are.
all right.
Well, who am I?
Both of you?
I can. All right, fair enough.
Your friend asked you to help him build a Spanish galleon.
Yeah. So 3 months later, I was like, okay, if you're serious, I think I moved that a little too far. If you're serious, we need to start writing the proposal because you got to submit them like 6 months before Burning Man or something like that. And he was like, yeah, okay, yeah, let's do it. So him and I, and then at that point, there was nothing else in my life. I worked on La Contessa until we got it off the playa. Which was epic. And so, we went around and like, what are we going to need and how much are they going to cost? And then I started writing the actual proposal. And because Simon wanted nothing to do with that. I was like, so what do you want to do? And he was like, you do it. And so I just wrote down everything I could think of. And then I would read it to him. And he'd be like, if he went, I cross it off because Simon doesn't like to say no. He's got an interesting leadership style or non-leadership style. So we I asked my friend Steven Raspa, who works for Burning Man, and I highly recommend that you interview him if you're at all
If we
interested.
could.
Oh, if you tried and
I
you can
think
get him.
you've all met him.
I spend a lot of time with Raspa. He's
okay.
just a busy feller.
Yes, he is. I just talked to him. Anyways, so I asked him, I was like, so, how do I, what should I put in this? And the one thing he said to me, which I had no intention of doing at that point, he was like, Larry loves the story. And I was like, oh, okay. And I think I can tell you what the story for La Contessa that I put into the proposal was that I think probably was the clincher. There were a couple of things, but it was in 1595, La Contessa was run aground in a storm off the coast of Algiers, and it washed all the officers and half the crew off board. And along came a traveling circus, and they needed a ride, and La Contessa needed some people to fill out the crew. They were last seen headed for the Black Rock Desert. That was the story. And then I also wrote like a poem written by a poet sailor whose name was I can't remember, but it was like
It was a long time ago.
sailors, soldiers, citizens, and slaves, give us your ears and we will tell you a tale, and then we will listen to your tales for it. And it was just like short, and it was very kind of the Heel Gabron prophet kind of thing. But I was like, I'm writing from the perspective of a poet who joined a ship that is now like a traveling circus. And I titled it as the poet Answan, Answan. The poem that he wrote to the people of the port of Algiers when they got there. And it just fit perfectly. The theme that year was Waterworld or something.
Floating World, which is supposed to be
World?
Buddhist, but everyone took it as water.
Honestly, Waterworld would be the best Burning Man theme in
Dude,
like a decade.
Waterworld. Kevin Costner's everywhere.
No, God, no. You take him out of the picture. But do Burning Man on an abandoned aircraft carrier surrounded by other ships, and you're just like, okay, let's make something. Let's get some metal.
I've had that dream.
Ooh.
I've also been to parties on aircraft carriers. Not really.
Oh no, the Hornet.
not
Yeah,
cozy.
I know that space is like.
It's all for war. There's no extra having fun
It
space.
doesn't matter how high you are, you understand you are in a space that was made for war. Yes, it kind of
Yeah,
seems.
I had my boss, the head of my production team, after we finished one night. He was like, "Hey, you guys want to go up under the radar?" Because he knew how to get there. So he took me and two other guys who had been setting up, grunt workers, all the way up there, and we sat under the radar dish and smoked a joint. It was awesome.
Did you cook hot dogs through the radar?
Getting back to the story.
I'm making a reference to a fucking
I know.
literary thing.
Okay, I don't
The
understand your
second
pop-
I say anything, you just shut me down. That's not fair. I loved the poetry that fucking happened there.
You're getting punk rock dismissed.
Oh no, I'll get punk.
seen it.
Believe me. I'm giving him some rope so he can hang himself, and then I'm gonna get
I'm
punk
not-
rock on his ass.
I'm not hanging
because I was
anything.
punk rock before. He probably heard of it. How old are you?
Older than I look.
Oh wow, that's saying something. You're not even 50, are you?
No, we're not 50.
And I was 23 when I built the La Contessa by myself.
Cool. I learned about
He was
punk rock when I was
23.
very, very
His
young.
pants were so filthy they were black.
That's punk rock. Okay, you got me beat. But I was a bike messenger for 8 years.
Okay.
Carries no
I'm
weight.
not trying to fucking do anything like that. I did grow up punk rock very young
Xeno
and very
was
early.
still a waiter.
No, before all that.
know. Well,
I was a dishwasher.
Best job I ever had was waiting tables. It's where I did my first
I still am.
striptease in public. For strippers.
Strippers have the most money, so and they
Yeah, but-
understand how hard it is to be service industry. So
No,
strippers
they tried
pretty
to
great.
stiff me, but that's another story. So, as I told Simon as we were writing the proposal, I was like, "Look, they know who I am, like the upper crust of Burning Man." I was like, "They all know who I am," and I knew them. I was like, and a lot of them, or most of them, don't like me, and they will not give me a grant. But I was like, because they don't know who you are. But once they know the kind of thing that you do, the events and stuff, because I'd done some stuff with him, and it's been one of the great honors and privileges and pleasures of my life to work with Simon Sheffins, because he's visionary in a way that very few people are. I won't even begin to try to describe. So I was like, so they need to see what you do. So he decided to do a party that I was calling Formal Wear for a Messy Evening. Which he didn't like, but it was too late by the time he told me he didn't like it. And I was like, what are we going to do? And I was like, Lady B was one of my ends, Stephen Raspa and Lady B. Lady B loved me. She's awesome. She's always been great to me, and really saved my ass a couple of times. And I was like, you need to come to this party. I mean, we were charging people $60 to go to this, and we sold out like that. We were going to do a 3-course meal. Extra Action was going to play. We brought in a mariachi band, like a 15-piece, like serious motherfucking mariachi band. They all had this matching outfits. We had aerialist Ina and Danny, who do one of the best aerialist acts I've ever done, and they've only done it like 4 or 5 times. I don't know. Anyway,
Can I ask a quick question?
No,
Was
no. I want to get through this. No, I want to get through this
party-
list. Oh my god, dude! Can I get through my list and then ask a question? Give me a second.
Yeah, but
we
you
had
don't
a
stop.
Tesla
You don't
coil.
stop.
He's the guest.
There was a Tesla coil. There was a guy who had balloons filled with a chemical. I forget what it was, but when he ignited them, it made a big boom. And all the food was served on a piece of slate on a table that was just covered with a plastic tablecloth. And it would just be like 2 bottles of wine per person at this party and a bar. Go ahead. Question.
So the party you're talking about, is that the party that happened on Playa, or was
No.
that in...
No. That was here in
It's a
Oakland.
simple question.
I understand. I understand. But when I'm in the middle of a thought process like that, it's going to take up too much time. It's like cost-benefit analysis.
Sure.
And flow.
Yeah, but if it's just...
Was the guy
Sure.
with the exploding balloons?
I hear
Dave
what
X?
you're saying.
Was he who?
Was he Dave X?
I don't believe so. He was from Texas. He performed with us when we performed in New Orleans on our first tour, and it was amazing. He's like 6'6", and he was wearing a chainmail face covering and a chainmail loincloth, and then like boots that were like had chainmail going down from his calf. And he would go through the audience and blow fire, but it was not like fire breathers or whatever the fuck they call themselves. He would do something that would go like around people's knees and like for 10 feet and be really bright, but go away really quick. So it wouldn't light anything on fire. And we were briefed before the gig, and he was like huge, and there was beef with another band and Nola, and we were like, and he's like, he's going to be in the crowd, so if there's any problem, you can go to him, and like you're playing, and all of a sudden there'd be flame around your knees, and then it was gone, but you didn't feel
I
it.
wonder if those were butane balloons.
Something like that. I mean, they were loud. And so Larry showed up to that party, and I think that's where. Oh, also, and Lady B invited me to her birthday party, and I was like, Simon, what are you doing Friday night? And he was like, I don't know. I was like, okay, you're my date. I'm gonna go pimp you out. I pimped out Simon to the LLC. And I was like, because I knew them all, they knew who I was, and I'm like, hey, blah, blah, blah. Hey, this is Simon Sheffins. Now you need to come to his party. And then and Larry was like, wow, this is fucking really cool. And that's how we got a grant for, I think it was $12,000, maybe $15,000.
Not bad.
Oh, are you kidding me? You know what it was valued at the court case, or after it was burned, and some people sued the guy who burned it. It was not Jeremy Crandall. Guy who's
This is the guy from the north of the fucking ranch. The landowner. He's
the guy who burnt it. No, but they called a witness in who is. He's a local guy, and he does production on all kinds of stuff. Old friend. So they asked him to be a witness because he's done a lot of production and a lot of work on humongous art projects. As an expert witness, like, what was this thing worth? And I just talked to him about it like a week or two ago, and I can't remember what he said. But, back then it was probably worth a couple $100,000. We built it for less than 20. We raised some money with a party that I threw. Now, just to be clear, I never did anything to build it. I did everything else. I
wrote the proposal, did the fundraising.
I did the proposal. I ran the fundraiser. I did all the permitting. Lady B does this thing where she has artists that are going to be out there each year, and they talk, and she brings in little old ladies who want to buy art and art critics and I don't know who. And each artist gets up there and talks. And she was like, "Oh, we want Simon to come talk about La Contessa." And I was like, "No, you can have me, but you can't have Simon. Simon doesn't like to talk in public. He hasn't got time. You can have me." So they settled on me. And I went, and it was awesome. I had no idea what I was going to say when I got there, and so I'm pacing up and down in the lobby. Is someplace. It was out on. It was a small theater out in Fort Mason, and these artists were getting up, and they were boring as fuck, and they were just blah blah blah, blah and my theme is, and I've been studying, and so I was like, oh my god. So I'm last, and I get up on stage, and I just leaned into the microphone, and I was like, I didn't really know what to talk about, so I thought I'd just recite the rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. And everybody laughed. And then I was just completely, oh, that's right. And they were like, can we get some pictures? And I was like, no, I don't have time for that. So Burning Man had to send a photographer to take pictures of La Contessa being built in deep Oakland. And then they had him as a slide presentation with me talking. And I'd never seen the slides. And I was just like, just off the top of my head. And I was just like, yeah, this is, I was like, first of all, this isn't I was just so irreverent and just so, and I looked behind me at one point and there was a woman in the picture with a screw gun. And I was like, actually, we prefer women as volunteers because they actually want to work as opposed to guys who want to stand around and just drink beer and pick up on the girls who are trying to work. And we finished and the lady was like, oh, that was, she loved it because I totally lifted the mood. I mean, everybody was falling asleep. And so people wanted to interview Simon. And I was like, no, you can interview me. And they were like, but we want to talk. I was like, Simon doesn't want to be interviewed, and he hasn't got time.
Can we have Simon's number?
No, no, sorry. No, I asked him, and he has no interest in being interviewed, and I really didn't either. And right, but for your listeners who don't know,
I think they got it.
That's true. All right, so where are we at with this fucking story?
Well, you got the grant. What can you tell us about the construction of La Contessa?
Okay, so Simon gets busy building. Don't do this at home, kids. Podcasting, it's dangerous, bad for you. It leads to verbal diarrhea. Simon starts building, and he doesn't have enough builders, and he doesn't have enough material, and it's like, so I'm spending 12 hours a day trying to find people and stuff like that. And I put out the word through Jack Roberts Speaks and some other, just put out the word like, we need people. And this guy calls me and he's like, hi, I'm Greg Jones. And I'm like, hi, Greg. Oh, so what's your skill set? And he started rattling off kind of like I was rattling off about that party. And I stopped him like 5 down, like you were trying to stop me. And I was just like, but it wasn't with a question. I was just like, okay, you need to come meet Simon. And Greg Jones, and this is how I remember it. And he claims it's not true, but I think that he just doesn't want to give me credit for like, I was the first one to meet Greg Jones.
Let's get Greg Jones on mic.
He's dead.
Damn it.
Nice.
Yeah. He
D-Day, fetch the Ouija.
No. Yeah, I'm not staying for that. Besides, you only have one candle and some neon. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Not even a candle.
But we've got a bunch of neon.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, you got more LED than you have neon.
Out in the yard, we have the neon from the 2002 man.
Are we currently in the yard?
Kind of. I mean, Oakland doesn't consider this a legitimate structure.
How about you guys do a spinoff? It's a Ouija cast, talking to the dead burners of yesteryear.
Unburning the temple.
That's where the real Patreon.
Wow, you're gonna get some hate doing that, man.
They've gotten
that
so
would
much
be
hate. It's fine.
Wow, that would be ballsy.
They deal with hate all the time. It's fine.
Okay, so Greg Jones comes and meets, and like immediately it's just like he's there. I think he was working a job, but he would be there every day. And within a week or two, he comes to the warehouse where we were doing some of the construction. We had to get a yard nearby to do once it got big, but he's got like those architecture. He's got one of those like books of paper that's like architecture size. So it'd be like a 1.5 feet long by like 11 inches high, and stapled together. It's CAD drawings of how we were going to build La Contessa because Simon didn't really know. He hadn't, he was like, we're going to build it. And he started
carpentries.
No. Simon is a master carpenter. He gets hired by people and paid ridiculous amounts of money to do like stuff. And he's one of the best carpenters I've ever met. Easily. He does amazing carpentry. So he knows what he's doing. But he hadn't thought in terms of like a CAD, like you could turn pages and be like, oh, this is how we do this one. Mm-hmm. And so Greg Jones showed up with that, and he joined Extra Action around that time, and then his name changed. He became Greg Jones, Extra Action. And then it later changed to the real Greg Jones, and then unfortunately he died of cancer a while back. It's just he was an amazing human being. And so he's responsible for like doing the first detailed, like, okay, here's how we do it. Like here's the drawing, so you can just consult. It's no more. We brought in Steve Valdez, who's an old friend of the band, and he's a welder, a master welder. Him and I were working at DPW back in the day, and he built the outriggers that we put on. We've got a full-size school bus and built a 16th century Spanish galleon around it, with the hull curving in so that it was about a foot above the playa. So that's where it would have sat in the water if you put it in the water. Mm-hmm. You couldn't see the wheels. And it had 2 or 4 extra sets of wheels in the back that were like on steel I-beams that came off the chassis, to stabilize it. Needless to say, it wasn't. It didn't tip over. I was surprised because when I got out there, and they were already out there building it, and I was driving this box truck with the stuff that was supposed to be our theme camp. We were going to be the port of Algiers, they were putting it together, and Greg Jones comes up to me, and it was blowing really hard. Comes up to me, he's like, Mateo, I don't know if we're going to be able to move if it keeps blowing like this. And I was like, you did do the calculations for tilt over, right? And he's like, no. And I had one of my famous meltdowns. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? And so I found, what's his name? A DPW guy, a friend of mine. Oh, fuck, I can't think of his name. And I was like, all right, how do we do this? And here's the dimensions roughly of what we're building. And so what's the tip over factor? And he went through it with me. And I was like, this does not look good.
That's why I was asking, because Simon at that point was one of the master riggers of DPW, and that's why I thought
No, you're thinking of a different Simon.
Yeah.
No, I camped with him
why
and
I
Stephen
brought
Raspa. Yeah. He got into Burning Man because he saw some. Stephen Raspa was like, "Hey, I'm looking for people to help me with my bubble fountain." I forget what he called it, but it was one of the most brilliant things. I mean, Burning Man, fire, wow! And he did literally. It was like 12 feet high, and it was just bowls. And the whole thing was white, square on the base, and 3 bowls, each one smaller, and there was just bubbles coming out of them. It was brilliant. Anyways,
so much.
Oh, Raspa's awesome. He's just one of the best human beings ever.
Yeah.
What was I saying?
Tipping over La Contessa.
Oh, it never tipped over. But it was supposed to be ready for the opening when the gates opened. And of course, we weren't ready. So we're building it on the Esplanade. And Larry had this idea to play Monopoly or Burnopoly, where they were going to be all these things and you could get burner points and change them in for something. I don't know how
Fuck, I remember that.
Yeah, it was so stupid. The only thing, I mean, it had the potential to be good. The only thing that was stupider was his a spaceman, where he created with lasers a Burning Man that could only be seen from space. He did that like the year after or something. I remember that Laser Man or something like that.
I stopped paying attention.
I know.
But how could you miss the laser?
Because it was designed to be seen from space.
Oh yeah, no, I remember it. You couldn't see that it was a man, but you could sure see that there was a big ass laser in the sky.
The only laser that I ever liked at Burning Man was '98, where there was only one rave camp, and it was this big spaceship like in the playa, inner playa. Mm-hmm. And every night there was a rave, and they had lasers there, and it was just beautiful because they would play on the mountains and on the city. And now there's so many lasers. It's like it's like giving 3,000 guitarists who don't know how to play guitars, having them turn it up to 11, and then, white noise. It's white noise. Thank you.
That is exactly the best description of Burning Man that I've ever heard. It's like giving 1,000 people guitars that don't know how to play guitars.
That actually is really good.
That is actually fucking amazing.
That's 99% of people with bongos.
That is true. And something I used to do, I started the year I was driving the Buffalo. I would have my bullhorn on my lap and I would circle hippie drum jams on the playa, usually at dawn, very, at speed. And then with my bullhorn, I would just say, "You suck. Stop playing. Go and learn how to play. But we don't want to hear you. You suck." And they would get really upset. I was just expressing myself. I'm like, I know. And it's really bad,
I was expressing
dude.
myself too.
I hope so. I might be going back this year, and I'm kind of looking forward to it because I got a bullhorn, and I'm not afraid to use it.
You will be delighted by the lack of drum circles.
Oh, no. I've been like, I don't know. I've been like 12 times, and the last time was 2 years or a year before COVID. And I would take the drum circles over the rave camps, which, what's it, omnipresent is the term? Mm-hmm. I mean, a walk along the Esplanade anytime after dark, oons, 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 and you're like, oh my God, like, get me to the next camp, get me away from this music. The next camp is like, oons, oons, oons,
So,
yes,
there are DPW people that go around and just pull spark plugs because no one brings extra spark plugs. And if they need to fix something, they need to go to Reno. And it takes
What
days.
year was this?
Last year.
They still
Last
do it.
year?
They still do it.
Allegedly.
Yeah, sorry, but now DPW, when we used to go around the like 1 day after the burn in their pickup trucks and be like, get your stuff and get the fuck out. They're not allowed to do that anymore. They can't stand up in the back of a pickup truck, so they sit and they've come up with these witty little songs that they sing that say basically that, but they're not allowed to say, get your shit and get the fuck out of here.
Here's the thing that I
like how you lean in for emphasis. Did I say that right?
I don't want to. There are people
Software will
that they're not allowed. They were never allowed.
Oh no! What are you talking about, dude?
And they still
hold on.
do
Your
it.
first year was 97.
Yes.
Dude, I did DPW 99, 2000, 2001, I think. And yeah, we were standing on
having a year off.
No, but I'm saying I worked DPW those years, and we were standing up in the back of moving vehicles. Nobody said anything to us. It wasn't until a guy died on a transport from
That was my
the
first
80
year.
acres.
2001. That was Craig Niedorf. That was, I got there literally the day after he died.
Did you just name drop?
Yeah. Yeah, I did. He was holding shit between a
Xeno,
trailer
I have a
and
question
fucking
for you. What is the most laminates you've ever worn on the playa?
Worn?
Did you hide them in shame?
No, I don't care about them. The radio's the thing, man.
Which one?
No, the radio where you can just be like, boop. You can just get anything on this.
Oh, the leash. You had a leash.
It was a tool. I turned it off when I didn't want it.
It is untoward to have more than
They
one
look
radio in my
awesome.
opinion.
It's like the ultimate accoutrement.
There are people with
wearing
two
it,
radios,
right,
and that's a lot. That
It's
is
just show
man. Hold on.
offy stuff.
You weren't wearing a two-way radio. You weren't like a comm. You weren't on comm?
Oh, he's on comm.
Oh no, I was on comm. No. Like there was shit that if shit went bad on my thing, we needed to fucking deal with it because people might get.
For those who
hurt
don't know,
or
that's
killed.
very Burning Man technical terms right there.
I'm just saying the radio was actually
You were DPW and you had a walkie-talkie.
Sure.
Did you have the microphone clip?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
It was on my
What
ear.
was your
and
title?
It was fucking
What was your
irritating.
title?
Crew lead for most of it, and ass man, which would be short
Okay,
for
no,
assistant manager.
Okay, but and you worked setup
Shade.
and cleanup.
Generally, yes, but depends on the year.
Yeah, I did. I would do like 2 weeks. 2 weeks of setup because that's what you had to do to get a ticket.
Yeah,
and then I was
You
like,
get
I'm not working.
reimbursed. Dude, I paid for my tickets my first several years.
I only
and got
paid
reimbursed.
$98.
I got a fucking check for $168 for me and my.
Did you get paid by the DPW?
I don't know who the fuck paid us, but we got a check.
They once told me. I mean, I was working for free, and they were like, "Oh no, Mateo, we're gonna pay you." I was like,
No, it was that
they
I
never
bought
did.
a fucking.
I'm so much cooler. You just bring this out in me, dude. You bring it out in me. What
I'm
can I
not
say?
trying to
You bring
do
it
that,
out in
dude.
each
I'm not
other,
trying to do that,
is all I'm saying.
whatsoever.
It's a very older
Yeah,
brother,
but
younger brother punk
he
thing
started
going on.
it.
Okay, so
Yes.
La Contessa,
Yes.
in the time that you were, did you go out with it again after it had been built? Was that like your home
Oh
camp
yeah,
for a while?
no. We went. Yes, we had a party, which was kind of one of the best things that ever happened with it. So it was off season. It wasn't 4th of July. No, it wasn't 4th of July. We picked a weekend where nothing was going on out there. So, and we sold tickets to it, and they were like the invitation. I still have mine. They were just. Beautiful. It was like folded up with a wax seal in a black envelope, and it folded out, and there was a beautiful picture, and like the invite and the directions on the backside. So we, what was it called? I mean, we went out there and we got it off the 80 acres where we were storing it, took it back down to the playa, way out on the playa, like way away from where the city usually is. And then people set up like there was a Moroccan dinner set up in one place in the playa, and there were several other areas and that were miles apart. And unfortunately,
It was a lot of driving.
there was a lot of driving. Yeah,
Not pay attention.
and then the people who were leading it.
that party.
Oh wow, impressive! That's bragging rights right there.
No, it's not.
Here, fist pump.
Okay.
No,
I'm just saying I was there,
My
and-
opinion is the only one that matters because I'm the guest.
Xeno
Wrong.
is also
No, that's-
ancillarily a guest.
I'm actually not a part of them.
He's
he's
just riding my
adjacent.
coattails. He's like, oh, they're gonna want to talk to you, and then you. Or are you a
he's
regular
our
guest?
stringer.
No, I've.
Oh, really?
No, he's
I've
our
been a part of
bait
this for
to
years,
get in
dude.
real punk rock assholes. We can't get them ourselves. We're too earnest.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah.
You're not earnest.
They're
Xeno, go
using
down
me
to-
to get to you.
Right, Xeno, go down to Merchants and find some old drunk who's been to Burning Man and's got some tails, some crusty guy.
Yeah, they're running out of content.
Reverend Howell is what he was calling himself at the time. I know his name, but don't ask me to say it. You can find him on. He's somebody to talk to. I mean, he's one of I believe, the original burners, and he recited the Rime of the Ancient Mariner to music. And we had Extraction Marching Band scored some original music
Nice.
for it. and we played it on the deck. While he recited it, it was amazing.
That sounds incredible.
It was. There was.
Was it moving at the time?
No. It was stationary. But then it was like, so I did we go first? I forget. So there was Rime the Management, and then the ship would go, and there were some auxiliary vehicles. But most people were on the boat, and they didn't let me navigate. I tried to warn them. I was like, dudes, these are long distances, and it's real easy to get lost out here. You should let somebody. No, we got that covered. And apparently, one of the stations for this party never got visited. They couldn't find it in the dark. It was an amazing party. It was truly just kind of la creme de la creme.
Did you have any feels about the La Contessa burning down?
Yeah, it sucked. It was fucking. I was like, he did what? And he claimed that I'd contacted the band or Simon or Greg or somebody and been like, hey, get this off my property. And
It was on your property?
No. It was on his property.
Who's he?
I forget his name.
Gary.
Some guy.
The guy from the north of the.
It was someplace in that area.
And he's
It's
had
actually not far from the 80 acres. It was in between the 80 acres and the playa, I think.
Well, the thing is the 80 acres is no longer a thing. The 200 acres is now the thing, and now that's actually on the north. The guy would.
This one dude
when I
owns
was
some
there,
land up there.
he would drive back and forth on the property line and shoot his gun up in the air at 1, 2, and 3 in the
Northern
morning.
Nevada.
Yep,
There's
that's
some
country
serious
shit.
Right,
But-
and he would be
But
like,
the reason that thing, the La Contessa was on his property is because they had made a deal with him to store it there. Now, the year before, we stored it on the 80 acres, but so it's on this guy's land. He claims he started calling people in the band being like, get this off my land. And he didn't hear anything, so he burned it, which is fucking stupid. Have you seen the video?
Damn.
Have you?
No,
there's
I
video.
have not seen the
there's
video.
of it. There was a DPW guy driving down the road, and he sees it burning, so he turns off the road onto the guy's property. He's got footage of the guy standing on it. I mean, the guy didn't deny it, but it is parked in the middle of that area north of the hills where the 80 acres used to be. There's nothing there. It's just fucking desert. And,
So
and
it
he's
was
got
just
a
like
shit ton of
he-
land, and he's like, "Get it off my land." Oh, you won't get it off my land? I'll burn it. It was a functioning vehicle, and then
my
you set fire
God.
to it.
Yep.
That's
An idiot.
That's horrifying.
So my reaction was like, "What the fuck?" And then when I was like, people were like, "Yeah, we're gonna sue," I was like, "Oh, good luck."
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
Nevada. Like
You left this on this guy's
It's
property.
northern Nevada. Even I mean, I come from New Hampshire, and then there's northern New Hampshire. Well, I ain't
He
no
could have,
Flatlander.
well within his rights, claimed at least a pound of flesh.
he probably could have asked for money from us.
Yeah, to clean up the shit that he
I
burned.
didn't like your art.
Oh,
Give me
great!
some
Can
money.
I ask you guys for money? Because I really. Hey,
hang
you
out in
want to
the
know?
shed for
You guys
another
want to
hour.
get in on the ground level of my next
I'll
year's
give you a
project
ride
for Burning Man?
home.
You want to develop an app?
I got a bike. No, I fucking apps. I avoid them like the plague. I'm people like, hey, you should put this on your phone. I'm like, no.
Thank you, Ethel.
Well, wasn't that a great episode?
We don't.
Thank you guys for hanging out and talking with us. This has been Accuracy Third. We are ending this episode.
Hopefully, the music in this episode is from Mateo's band, the Marching Marcheroos.
No.
Extra.
The extra action marching.
So I always say Infernal Noise Brigade, but that's the one from Seattle. I always get them confused.
They're also not-
close to both. They're very different. This is the Extra Action Marching Band. They're from the Bay Area.
Yeah, they're not March 4th, who are the ones from Portland.
Well, they're also not Titanium Sporkestra,
Yes.
Right. They're definitely not that.
Which is also from Seattle.
and
which
what they
also has a lot of DPW people.
and what
Oh.
they certainly are not is Gamelan X.
Titanium Sporkestra has Cool Whip.
Cool Whip is awesome.
Yes. he came through. He was at my house.
Aw, that man pulled some weird moves to place a box in our camp this year, and
He's a weird.
couldn't
he
get
will-
out for a minute.
He will get it
Oh,
done.
that guy. That
yeah,
guy was
he
great.
will. Yeah,
Get it
Cool
done.
Whip is
He-
great.
No, he's great people.
What does he play?
I have no fucking clue.
I assume a
I've
trumpet.
seen him do heavy equipment. Actually, I have never seen him do heavy equipment. I just know that he is on heavy equipment. Oh, I also sent a list of YouTube things that might have context.
They will be in the show notes. Also in the show notes.
They might even link in the YouTube version of this.
They might. We don't know. Like and subscribe.
Pay some damn money. Patreon this shit.
Thank you to our patrons on Patreon. You literally keep the lights on out here. The lights coming to us from the extension cord that goes from the shed to the fence to the other extension cord that goes from the fence to the house.
Not my lights.
Attention, City of Oakland.
I don't get any of this.
This is not a wired property. Do not come after us. It's a shed.
Thank you to the last batch of $5 patrons that we've been thanking for the past couple of months. Thank you to AC, Jason, Haley, Buttercup, Big Mama Kitty, Jason D, and a special thank you to Art.
So last weekend, I was like, hey, do you want to just surprise D-Day? And he's like, yeah, but like, not right now. And I'm like, well, that's not. He's like, maybe next weekend. And this is actually that next weekend. And now I'm kicking myself.
For not bringing Art with you?
Yes.
That would have been really funny. Hey, Art, next time, come over with Xeno. Xeno just comes over randomly. If you come over
I'm bad
randomly,
at
too,
planning.
you might be.
I'm really bad.
If you are so inclined, you can join our Discord. There is a link in the show notes. Maybe it'll work. Discord seems to do whatever the fuck it wants. It's a permanent link. If it doesn't work, email us at our email address, accuracy3rd@gmail.com, all spelled out. And you can also follow us on Blue Sky. We're on Blue Sky, where it's funner than Twitter.
I'm on Mastodon, and I offered to make you a server.
We're on Discord. I haven't been able to figure out Mastodon. Too many choices too immediately. It was like, do you want to join this thing? You could join other things later. I'm like, what the fuck are all
I
these
have a
things?
whole server. I could just like write in some things, and all of a sudden you have your own server.
But we have the Blue Sky, and it's on the Federated Network now.
Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Ed.
The only things that come close were the car hunts that I did with Robert Burke, which the first
What is a car hunt?
Okay, I'll try and make this a 2-minute story. Somebody set a timer. After 98 in 2000, where I met Robert Burke and rode the whole year around on the buffalo that he was driving, we became good friends. And he was like, "Hey, dude, I want to do this buffalo hunt. Do you want to help me out with it?" And I was like, "Fuck yeah! What is it?" So basically, we got a small group of friends together. I would say there were less than 20 of us. They were all friends of Robert Burke. And we took the buffalo, and they all drove cars. And we drove, if you go up beyond the Black Rock, there's the Black Rock Hot Springs, but you keep going. And there's a couple of small playas up in those hills beyond the Black Rock. Mm-hmm. And so we went to one of those. And the buffalo, we turned the wheel all the way over and tied it off to a piece of rebar that we'd welded to the door. Or no, there was no doors on that thing, to the frame. And then he rigged up a remote control that you use for one of those little cars to the accelerator. So it would go in a circle. And to give you some context, the buffalo at that time, we skinned it later. It was a Plymouth K car that he chopped everything off of, including the hood. So I like to sit on the front right fender with my foot on the what's it called? The thing you crash into? The
Bumper?
Bumper. I would have my feet on the bumper, perched on like right there at the corner over the headlight, which I don't think he had headlights on it. But the buffalo was made out of rebar, and it was constructed so that it was sitting on top over the car, and the front right hoof was off the ground, and the back left hoof was off the ground. So it looked like it was running. Mm-hmm. From 2 miles away, you were like, that's like a buffalo running across the playa, but it was just like an outline because it was all in rebar. So we've got this thing going in a circle up on the upper playa. We've hung propane tanks from the spine of it, and we had a roof down torch, which is what
sounds safe.
Accuracy third. Yeah. A roofing torch, which is used to heat up a tile before you put it on a roof, right? Mm-hmm. It's kind of just a big, messy flame. That was in the head of the buffalo facing back, kind of towards where the propane tank was. They were generally 5-gallon ones. They were almost all outdated. Like you couldn't have them refilled, and they were empty. But you hang it by a chain from the spine, and it was going in a circle, and we were a couple 100 yards off, and we would take turns trying to shoot the propane tank.
Yep.
Now, if you've ever shot a propane tank when it's near fire, it is impressive. And at this point, I've been to one Burning Man and one morning after the burn, and I was like, Oh, fuck Burning Man. This is kind of over the top. The thing, these tanks would make mini mushroom clouds and you wouldn't see the buffalo. It would engulf the car and the buffalo, and Robert would hit the accelerator and it would like come out of it going up slightly. So it looked like the buffalo was like, get me out of this flame. And then we would go and we'd put a new tank on it and somebody else would take a turn shooting at the tank. That was the buffalo hunt.
Oh, that's so
We did that.
God damn it.
Yeah.
Horribly dangerous.
That's
No,
playa.
What?
That's high playa, right?
I don't know what they're called. They're up beyond the Block Rock. There's
I know.
2 or 3 of
It's
them.
not even the playa that you're used to.
No.
It's a whole
Did I
other
not describe that in detail?
I think you
harder
did.
to get.
Thank you.
But you didn't
I'm
name
just
it.
checking.
Yeah. There was a different name for it.
Yeah, whatever.
So-
Names. I'm great with names, Mary.
So